Hello everybody, my name is CulBlu and I'm bringing out this video of me talking about a board game, and today we're going to be talking about the board game Clinic. So let me go ahead and get our music started here in the background. Okay, cool. Alright, got that all set. But as far as this game goes, this is a 1 to 4 player simulation clinic building, pick up and deliver simulation, I think it's simulation twice, kind of management game. That's the best way to put it. A lot of things, a lot of words, a big word salad of things, if you will. So let me go and get this out of the way. But as far as this game goes, this is a game that I enjoy quite a bit. So for those who just want the quick and dirty, how do I feel about this game? I'll name one bad thing and two good things. That's weird, handsable. Sorry, one bad thing and two good things. Starting with the bad thing first. This game is very fiddly. This game has a lot of little small bits. There's cars you gotta park, and there's things you gotta manage. You gotta remember to keep track of how many people you have to cars. And it's like this whole thing. It becomes like a very fiddly puzzle just from having to manage cars in general. It's also a little bit fiddly too with managing the pieces over there. So starting with the negative, going to the positives though, the positives that far outshine, in my opinion, the negatives. This game does have a lot of variety to it once you include the extensions. It is unfortunately an efficiency puzzle, which I guess is another slight negative. Because it has extensions, you can actually change the game up and make a lot of varieties. And then the last positive thing to talk about is that it feels really good to see your plan come together and work. Like, that's always fun. It does mean that it's a little bit brutal in this game. It's a little bit brutal if you don't do the right things at the right time. But overall, it's more often than not, in my opinion, a very rewarding game. Especially once you understand the nuance and the mechanics. It rewards you from playing it a few times, let me put it that way. Okay, cool. So that's kind of through that. So I'm going to try to spend as little time as possible explaining some of the mechanics for those who just want a generic idea of how the game flows. Essentially, your goal is to have the most popularity, which is the inner track there. You get popularity by buying points at a certain part of the game, at a certain time in the game, and you have basically 6 different opportunities to purchase points. Outside of that, you do not have opportunities to purchase points, so be careful. And then also, you earn points based on how many doctors you have at the end of the game. And then if you have multiple buildings and other stuff, there's other factors. A little bit of a point salad, but not too much of a point salad. Just like a point side salad, if you will. So other than that, you play the game. Oh, sorry. You also have negative points that exist based on how much time you spend. So the less efficient you are with your movement, the more negative points you get. So you have to be wary of that. Moving on to the rounds, there are 6 rounds in the game. You can play with 7 rounds if you have a module for it, which I think is in expansion number 3. Don't quote me on that. But you have 6 rounds, and every round you're doing exactly 3 actions. And those 3 actions are the 3 that we see here of building, hiring, or admitting patients. So building allows you to build modules. There are a lot of placement rules. There's a lot of nuances with the buildings and stuff. You can build these modules here. You can build these entrances that give you things. You can build a helipad. You can build a park. You can also build some parking lots. You can also build conveyors, or conveyors is what the game calls them, but they teleport people between them. There's a whole bunch of nuance involved in that. I'm not going to get into the minutiae of that, but just know that there's a lot of placement rules that if you are going to play this game, just be wary to pay close attention to those. Placement rules such as you're not allowed to have a supply room, which is what this room is. You're not allowed to have a supply room adjacent to another supply room, which is what that symbol symbolizes. So this is illegal. Also, if you're going to the second floor, or the first floor in this case, this is also not allowed because this is considered adjacent to that room. So some placement rules with that. There's also some placement rules with, of course, you can't build floating over nothing. So this is here, there's nothing there, so this is not legal. So you must build something on the ground floor first before you can start building up. And then also the spatial puzzle of it all too does exist. So for instance, this helipad is on top of this treatment room, and this treatment room is on top of that supply room, which, you know, if you're not ready for the 3D puzzle at all, it's going to be a little bit difficult to follow. So those are things to kind of be concerned about and be wary of. But that's just from the build action. You can do 2 builds, and there's reasons why you might want to do one build over another. Once again, I'm not trying to explain the entire game, but that exists. Going over to the hiring allows you to hire doctors. There will be an array of doctors available for you to hire, and also nurses as well, depending on your player count. So you might have some nurses here that are available for you to hire at various prices. And then you also have orderlies that exist, which orderlies allow you to reduce the cost during your upkeep because you have to pay your staff and also you have to pay for your, basically pay your lease, if you will, if you want to call it that. But essentially what you'll do is you'll hire based on your money that you have, based on what you want to do. So if I choose the hiring action, which is this handshake symbol, which is that symbol there, then I can hire. So if I want to hire, I can hire one doctor and or one nurse or orderly. So just to clarify, I can hire a doctor and that's it. I can hire a nurse and that's it. I can hire a doctor and a nurse, or I can hire a doctor and an orderly, or I can just hire an orderly by itself. And orderlies cost $1. Doctors cost a printed dollar amount, which this first doctor costs $1. Nurse costs $1. This secondary nurse costs $2. So the earlier you are to hire the nurse, the cheaper it is in general. For doctors, depending on the more experienced doctors will be more expensive. The less experienced ones will be least expensive. So if this is a situation to where there's a red doctor and 2 yellow doctors, this red doctor automatically goes all the way to the back, like so. So that means that this doctor's $1, this doctor's $2, this doctor's $4 to hire. So that's how that works. So let's say I want to do a hire action. I want to hire this doctor and this orderly. Then I would take this doctor, like so. I would take this orderly, like so. It's going to be $1 plus $1, so $2 total. And every person that you have, patient and doctor and orderly and nurse, comes with a car. And cars are kind of the name of the game to some degree. So you have to manage your parking spaces. The way parking spaces work is essentially you will park a car on any edge that's here. If you have a module, which is what these bigger rectangles or diamonds are called, if you have a module there, you are not allowed to park a car. So for instance, I cannot park a car there. That's illegal. I also cannot park a car there. That's illegal too. So I must park it here or some of the other places. I'm also not allowed to park it there. That's illegal too. And that can become a little bit fiddly, especially when you get parking lots. Parking lots are pretty neat because they allow you to park cars on top of it, like so. But as you can see, kind of taking these little small pieces and putting them on top of this little small piece of cardboard with things around it, that can become very fiddly very fast. And then also keeping in mind that whenever you take a person or a patient, you must have a car. I've seen it many a times, it happens to me many a times, and there's a playthrough I have, which is after this video, so go watch that playthrough, to where I constantly forget to update my cars. So thankfully it's a little bit easy to remember, to catch up, which essentially count the number of doctors and orderlies and nurses you have plus patients. So in this case, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars. So now I count 3, 6, 7. So I have too many cars. Okay, cool. So I have the correct number of cars now. Anyway, so that's in the hire action. I basically have to take a car whenever I hire somebody. That's what I was trying to highlight. Moving on to the last one, admit patients. Admit patients allows you to take in patients into their respective rooms. So for instance, if I were to admit these 2 patients, I would admit them into the cardiology room. There's specific rules around that too, such as Q points. Q points are essentially entrances to your hospital plus 1. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 1, 5. So I have 5 Q points, which means that I can admit 5 patients max, or I can manipulate up to 5 patients. And what I mean by the manipulation part, if we just throw some patients up here arbitrarily, is that if we have, let's say we have these 3 tracks being used, like so, with my 5 Q points, assuming I still have 5 Q points, I can say, okay, Q point number 1, I'm going to swap these 2. And then Q point number 2, I'm going to take this, or I'm going to swap these 2. Then Q point number 3, I'm going to take this patient into the psychology. Q point number 4, I'm going to swap these 2. And then Q point number 5, I'm going to take this one. So that is how you spend your Q points. And there's reasons why you want one patient over another. I'm not going to get into the whole color of things, but essentially it's a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, patient and doctor, with level 1 being white, level 4 being red. And if they match, they can deal with each other. If they don't, then you need nurses to compensate. I guess I will explain it. So that's kind of that. Yeah, so that's kind of the actions that you can do. And you have 3 actions every round. Once you're done with the 3 actions, then you do your movement phase, which you move your people into your hospital and move them around. Depending on how many people you moved and where you moved them and how you move them, you will go up on time. So just to run it through here, if I'm going to move this doctor who's on the outside of my hospital into the hospital because they must be in there, or to my clinic, then it's going to be action 1 it's going to be 1 time to move in, and then I want them in that treatment room, so 2 time to move them there. So that's 2 time spent. And then my orderly, I want them to be in that pink room there, so they're gonna go straight from this entrance to 3, like so. And then my patients, I want them to come in, so I want a patient in this room. Let's see, let's do an orange. Oh, this is a psychology treatment room. So we're gonna do 1, 2. So I think I'm up to 6 now. Let me see. So it was 1, 2, 3. So I'm at 3. And then 4, 5. So I'm at 5 now. And then in order for this yellow doctor to deal with this orange patient, we need this nurse to be in that room. So that's 6 to move that one there. And then I want this white patient to go into that treatment room. So 7, 8. And then I would like a patient to go into that room. So this is going to be 9, 10. Because that's a cardiology. So I spent 10 time. After I spend my 10 time, I go up on the track. I am the pink player. So I go from 7 to 17. And like I said before, that determines how many negative points I get at the end of the game. So that's just a very brief overview of some of the things regarding those. The final thing I'll talk about would be healing people. So once you heal people, you get paid based on the value. So we have 8 plus 20. So it's going to be 28. From that, plus 12. So that's going to be 30, 40. So it's going to be $40 total to heal all, or after healing all 4 of those, because I healed an orange for 20. I held a white for yellow, or sorry, I held a white for 8 and a yellow for 12. So it's gonna be $40 total. So I'm gonna get $40. Now here's the cool creative part of the game that I like a lot, is that the money goes down here. Note that it does not get added over there. And now I have a decision, oh, I pay my expenses, which my expenses are based on this. So it's gonna be $1 per module in park. And if I have operation rooms, more stuff. And also I have to pay my people based on their dollar amounts over there. So in total, I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because remember, these parking spots are not modules, and these helipads are not modules. So it's gonna be 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12, 13, 14, 15, because they're $2 a piece. So my expenditures are $15. The orderly is gonna reduce it by 3, so it's gonna be $12. So I now paid $12 to the game, so I get $3 back. And now at this point, I can decide, okay, do I want to buy victory points for $3 a piece, or do I want to let the money go over here into my coffers, into my bank account? So I'll say I want to buy as many victory points as I can. So with $28, I think I can buy, 9 points. So I will buy 9 points for $27. Is that right? Let me double check. Yes, 9 points. So I'm purchasing 9 points. So I go from 4 to 13. And then I get my little dollar left over, and there we go. I'm all done. Now that's the only time I can purchase points is of the money that I got that round. And then of course we update our cars. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 3, 6, 7. I did not have enough cars earlier, but sure, we'll fix that now. There we go. All done. And that's the end of that. We do some other stuff and move on. All right, so going into, now we got through the overview in as brief of a time as possible, let's talk about the rest of the pros and cons. The reason why I like this game or praise this game so much is because it does have a lot of variety to it, specifically because of the extensions and specifically because of the puzzle it gives you. It is a very fun experience for me to kind of sit down each game and maybe try a different strategy. Maybe try the approach of building up 3 hospitals to see how it works. It's building up 3 clinics on the same board to see how it works. It's a very tight fit, but you can make it work. Maybe I want to try the strategy of building like a mega clinic to where I have like all the spots. Well, it's impossible to have all the spots you use up on the first floor, but have a lot of the spots used up on the first floor and then go to second, third, and fourth, or in this case, ground floor, first, second, third, and build it that way. And that gives you, the game incentivizes you to do this, because if you have treatment rooms that are functional on the second floor, or the first floor, I should say, then you get 2 points per treatment room. So this is worth 2 points at the end of the game. If I had a treatment room that was functional on the second floor here, then I would get 4 points per treatment room. So the game incentivizes you to build up and build wide, well, not build wide, but build up. So that's really fun that it incentivizes you to do that. Also, there's another like kind of cool thing of like watching your hospital just function and making it work. And also if you have the right doctors for the right patients and you are able to heal them and get a lot of money, it's overall a very rewarding experience. Let me just say it that way. Or at least for me, it's a rewarding experience. And then also the fact that this game can go from 1 to 4 players. I don't think I would ever play this at 4 players. I'm just gonna be clear on that one. 3 might be my max in this game. But playing it solo is a lot of fun. Playing it with 2 players is a lot of fun. I've only played it with 2 players with max player count, or sorry, that's the highest player count I've gotten to. Otherwise, I played it solo a bunch, and I've enjoyed my experience every single time. The cycle of actions, knowing I have 18 actions, and it feels like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's quite a bit. You can achieve a lot in 18 actions, and yeah, you can get yourself a really nice, hefty score involved with all that. And then also another mechanic that doesn't really show up too much when you're playing solo, like I mostly play this game. But if you're playing with multiple players, when you choose your action for the round, or when you choose your action for the phase, so we're saying we're in round 1, choosing the first action, the green player is the first player. We will choose our actions secretly using these tiles. And then once you choose your action, once everybody's chosen their action, then we reveal. If the same action was chosen by both people, which in this case it happened to be, then green would get to go first on admitting patients. So they would get to admit patients first. And that's fun because it means that, okay, I want to do this action before my opponent does it because I know I'm going second. So I need to make sure that I'm getting it at the right time. And that adds like another layer of tactical and strategy to the game that I think is very much welcome. Because it means that if me and my opponent are building the same hospitals, like we both doubled up on psychology, then that means that we're both after psychology patients, which means that either I need to have a lot of Q points to manipulate the patients to help make sure I can admit patients when I do my action, or I need to take those patients before my opponent gets them. So in this case, my opponent goes first. Let's say they take out all the good stuff, and this is a arbitrary, okay, let's do it correctly. Let's say my opponent has 4 Q points. So they're going to do Q point number 1, Q point number 2, and then Q point number 3, and then Q point number 4. Well, Q point number 4, they'll just move that one up there, like so. So that means that if I was after those orange patients, I've lost out. I was like, oh no, darn it, I was planning on those orange patients. So your opponents can definitely like, indirectly mess with you and stab you with the shiv. Which I find like a fun player interaction, because otherwise there's not much other player interaction outside of them taking the doctor I wanted, or the nurse I wanted, or the orderly I wanted, or the patients I wanted. And I think that that's a huge level of player interaction. There's also some player interaction about order of building, because you can only build one of these types of modules per round. More specifically, if somebody were to build the cardiology lab, then nobody else can build a cardiology lab or a cardiology hub this round. And that's a big deal. That's a huge deal, because that means that, hey, I wanted to build cardiology this round, but somebody beat me to it. So that means I have to either settle with another psychology place or wait till the next round where where I'll be going before they go. So lots of layers, lots of things on that, just from a 2-player perspective. I can imagine with 3 players it's a lot more fun because you use more places. You use the, I guess the knee joint people, the joint people, along with the rest of them, and you have a lot of variety going on. That said, there is a solvableness to this game. I do want to make sure that I acknowledge that and point that out as much as I can, because it is very important to consider if you are thinking about getting this game. I would highly recommend getting at least 1 extension, specifically extension number 1, or extension number 2, or extension number 3. The reason why is because extensions number 1, 2, and 3 give you a lot of different modules to use between the 3 of them. And those modules will allow you to do some other cool stuff as far as changing up the game, maybe change up the flavor of the game, and have a lot of fun with it. Extensions number 4, which has the basement, I think it gives you a lot of variety too. It's just not as much variety. It gives you quality variety, but not as much. And then extension number 5 is, I forget what extension number 5 is, but here's the one of the extension boxes. It is chock full of extension content. I was able to consolidate nearly everything except for the 2 mini expansions, which is the COVID-19 one and the biohazard one. So I do not have those yet. They're on their way though, in the mail. And I'll try to put them in the box, but I can fit all 5 extensions content inside of this one box, which is pretty nice. And then as I play the game, because I'll probably end up in a situation to where I have some extensions that I'll never play the game without, and those will just be integrated into the main box, which means that I'll have more space to fit stuff. But opening this up, we have a few things besides the rule pages. We have this thing that I made, which is what I mostly want to talk about here. Yeah. So this is a manifest that I made, which is basically just a little spreadsheet that has all of the modules, because each extension has a bunch of modules in it. I've listed them all in alphabetical order. This is on Board Game Geek, by the way, if you want to get it yourself. And this is in alphabetical order based on the extension name, or based on the module name. And this is in extension order / alphabetical order. So the base game has 4 modules. The first extension has, I think, 13 modules, and so on and so forth. And that helps with finding things. It tells you the page, it tells you the extension, it tells you the name of it, all this other fun stuff. And then also, I think the more important part is the visual, the visual manifest, I like to call it. And essentially what this is this is a, this is the base game here, the 4 modules for that. This is the first extension, the 13 or so modules for that. And it shows you a picture based on the rulebook of what's in it, the name of the extension, the page that it's on, and what pieces you need. So if you're playing with the satellite TV extension, for instance, or module, I should say, for instance, then you know that you need this board, and you know you need those pieces, and you know it's on page 8 of the first rulebook. So that has been very useful to keeping the sanity, because otherwise, this is what the box looks like. And unless you want to go on a scavenger hunt to find all the pieces, it is nice to have everything listed in an organized way, so that way the pieces do not have to be stored in an organized way. So for instance, there's Ghost in here, there's a CEO, there's more nurses, there's secretaries in here, there's, I think this is a temp worker, there's the pregnancy, I think that's, oh, gift shop's also in here, I think that's all of them. Oh, no, workaholic is in here, and surgeon's in here. So all these things are mixed into one bag. I know those because I've kind of played around with some of those. But being able to find the pieces is important for maintaining sanity. And this is the only way I was okay with doing this consolidation of the box, because otherwise, look at this mess. Look at this mess. So if you can find a storage solution that works better for you, or if you have a storage solution that works better for you, go for it. This one works for me currently. I'll probably do something to get like a custom box so I can fit everything a little bit more visually, to make it a little bit more visually appealing. But for now, this works. This works. This manifest list plus that. Also, I do have the campaign book, which the campaign book I'm looking forward to playing and experiencing and going through. Right now I'm working through the thematic campaigns so I can get used to the modules pieces, and then eventually I'll do the expert campaign. I'll probably do a full playthrough, just like I did like Sleeping Gods, or just like I did through for, what was the other game I did? Oh, Final Girl. So I'll probably do like a full campaign playthrough of Clinic once I get more used to it. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of end things there, or wrap up things here. So definitely let me know what you all think of the game. If you all have played the game, let me know what extensions you find entertaining or you find the most appealing. So far, one of my favorites, one of my tops, is definitely the ambulance expansion. I enjoy that one a lot. The ambulance module is very fun. And one day I will try the basement. I hear the basement adds a lot of variety to the game, so I'll try the basement out. But for now, I'm just gonna continue to slow walk through the thematic campaign off recording, and then once I'm ready for the expert campaign, I'll do some playthroughs on it on Twitch and YouTube and stuff. So feel free to be on the lookout for those in the future. All right, so that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to say. Oh no, I lied. I do have much else to say. One last thing I'll talk about is that one thing that this game has that I love a lot is the fact that when you're playing solo, it has achievable goals. So these are just from the rulebook. I printed out a page. I printed out the page specifically, and I cut them out and put them in card sleeves, so nothing super fancy. But the game gives you, instead of a beat your own score thing, what it does is it gives you one of these things that you can try to achieve. You choose it before you start the game. So the way I like to play it is I like to take these 1 of 10 goals, draw 2, pick 1. And for instance, if I want to do this one says build 3 buildings that can treat patients. So that means by the end of the game, if I have achieved this, then I can count my score and then see how I did. Otherwise, I score exactly 0 points and I lose. I'm actually gonna do it on my playthrough, which should be after this video. So go check out the playthrough right after this, so you can see how I did, or see how I do, I should say. But this is very fun because it gives me at least more incentive to not just build the same machine, the same engine, the same hospital I build every game. So building this for 3 buildings, like this build right here, would not be great for that because I have to have 3 functional buildings. So that means I would have to rearrange this in a different way. and really think critically about how I'm going to build my hospital to make it functional. So those are some big aspects. I really do appreciate that a lot. It's a very small thing, and I guess technically some community-made mod could actually add more to it, and maybe people have already added more to it. But I find it very very engaging, especially as somebody who plays this game solo quite a bit, or who plays a lot of solo games in general. So instead of a simple beat your own score, it's more of a achieve this goal and then beat your own score, and I like that. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. Yeah, let me know in the comments what y'all think about the game. If you're gonna be checking out soon, I would recommend buying it. I think it's worth a buy, but then again, I purchase a lot of board games, so that's it for me. Thank y'all very much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed it, and as always, I will see y'all whenever.